Good morning, I'm Chris Fox. Welcome to week 12 of 12 Weeks to a Trilogy. So this is it, guys. We're done. This is the last 12 weeks video, unless you guys tell me that you really want me to do a Q&A. We're gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna start getting back to other types of videos, just like I used to do. So I'm not gonna make you wait till the end of the video to find out what happened. Spoilers, I didn't finish. I did not complete the third novel in time. So the original challenge was I was going to write and edit 3 novels in 3 months. And in the end, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. On the last day of the challenge, I published book 2 in the trilogy. So what really ended up happening is in the 3 months, I wrote, edited, and published 2 novels, plotted, and then wrote the first third of the third book. So I got about 15,000 words into book 3 before the challenge was over. And that was it. On a lot of levels, that's, I guess, bad. I mean, it's a failure. I said I was going to do this and I didn't do it, but I'm not at all upset. And I mean, for obvious reasons. I published the first 2 novels. They're doing well, not as well as I'd like, as we'll get into in the next section, but they're doing well. And I'm really proud of what I've written. I'm still going full steam ahead on book 3, so I'm making great progress there. I haven't really slowed down. My schedule hasn't really changed now that the challenge is over, which is kind of what I was after all along. So my goal was, at the beginning of the challenge, I had taken some time off. I was relaxing a little bit more. I'd spent some time playing World of Warcraft, watching more movies, doing more hiking, and not writing as much as I should. And this was the vehicle that I used to kind of get back into my fighting weight and be writing my 5,000 words a day like I was supposed to. And it's done that. And it also taught me a lot. Unlike the 21-day novel challenge where I stopped and, kind of put my life on hold, I lived it. I went to Austin, Texas for the Smarter Artist Summit. I went to Yosemite, for a couple of days of vacation where it was the last 2 days of the challenge and I thought maybe I'd be able to write. I wasn't able to write. It was basically vacation. Earlier in the challenge, I went to Maryland. So I guess the number one lesson, the takeaway here, is that I can sustain this and still live my life. But if I really wanted to write 3 novels in 3 months, I would not have published the first one. So the mistake that I made, the real problem that led to me not finishing, was the final polishing of books 1 and 2. It took me so much time to juggle promotions and get my launch ready and coordinate with other authors that I just wasn't able to do the third book like I wanted to. Had I waited, had I not published these until, let's say, June, then I could have easily finished 3 books in 3 months and then dropped them all at once. But now that I actually did 2 books, put them out, and I have a third book coming out very quickly afterwards, I think that's enough. I think it's fine. They're selling well. This production schedule worked for me. So going forward, I'll probably try writing the first 2 books in a series and then publishing them as I'm working on the third. It seems to work well. So anyway, that's the first part of the takeaway. What I'm going to do in the next portion of the video, we're going to jump into the launch. I'm going to show you how the book is selling, how much money it has made, and sort of what I'm doing with it. And then we're going to look a little bit at where I'm at with book 3. I'll show you guys how I'm writing it, which is considerably different than I did books 1 and 2. And at the very end, we'll have kind of a call to action where I'm going to ask you guys what you want to do from here, as far as what additional videos you want to see in the future. Quite a few people have reached out to me and said, hey Chris, I would love to see more focus on craft, but I want to know if you feel that way. So anyway, let's jump into the next section of the video. You'll get to see the final screencast of the 12 Weeks to a Trilogy. Wow, I cannot believe we've made it this far. Okay, so I wanted to start with sales. Sales have been good, but not great. So when I say good, Behind the Lines stabilized right around number 2,000 in the store. I was hoping it would stabilize around number 500. That means less sales, less money coming in, but I also have never released 2 books before, so between the 2 of them, Behind the Lines and Hold the Line are bringing in enough income that it's very much like having a single book in the top 1,000. So not as good as I would like maybe, but also not surprising. My covers don't match what's hot in this genre. Like if you look at Void Wraith or Eradication, both of these have a spaceship on the cover, and both of them do enormously well and still sell enormously well. Whereas mechs and giant mutant kaiju, it's a niche. You're not going to have as many people into that, and I sort of accepted that when I put it out. So the fact that it's not selling quite as well as I'd like, totally okay. Especially when you consider that it's dragging up my other books. So one of my top sellers is the complete Void Wraith trilogy. This is my entire trilogy in one. It's a great deal, $6.99 for the box set, and a lot of people tend to gravitate towards this. It's also popular in Kindle Unlimited. Well, as soon as I put out Behind the Lines and Hold the Line, I made sure, if you look at Behind the Lines' description, to say a brand new adventure in the Void Wraith universe. That's the very first thing they see. And then to also list the Void Wraith trilogy. In the books themselves, at the end of book 2, I actually put a couple of chapters of Destroyer and point people to it. So all these new fans that rushed in and read Behind the Lines and then immediately went on to Hold the Line, as soon as they finish that, they're jumping into my Void Wraith trilogy. So that's lifted that up as well. So the sales across the board for many of my titles are doing great. And most importantly, as of this morning, Behind the Lines is paid for its production costs. So if you come down here and you look at money earned, you'll see $2,035. And if you remember, I spent about $800 on the cover and $1,200 on editing. So my costs were about $2,000. Behind the Lines has paid it within 2 weeks of release, and the audiobook isn't even out yet. Nor does this factor in the paperback sales, which are doing surprisingly well. Hold the Line, still a couple $100 away from breaking even, but should do that in the next couple of days. And they're going to keep selling for months. So these will be a very profitable series, even if they're not my most profitable series. So anyway, that's telling you how the books are doing and how the launch went. I'm very, very happy with how things turned out. But let's get back to the writing. I'm going to jump into, in this next portion, book 3, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing that is a little bit different than what I've done in previous books. Okay, so I mentioned in one of the earlier videos that I was going to try something new, and that was do an entire plot line all by itself. So I would do Nolan and Burke throughout the entire book before I had all dealt with, Takan and Kar, or Fizzgig and Takar, or Ufa and the Nameless Ones. Just do this one plot. And I decided to give that a shot just as an experiment to see how it worked, and here's how it played out. You can see that I'm only writing chapters about Nolan and Burke, and everything that I've done to date, the first almost 20,000 words of the novel, is all this one plot line. It's amazing. It is simply amazing how much easier it is to do it this way for me. I just go chapter by chapter through a single plot line. I have far fewer questions. There's this sense of cohesion because I'm only dealing with this one microscopic part of the book that's made the writing far faster and easier. And I think I'm going to continue to play with this. I'm going to do it for this book and maybe the next one. But going forward, it really seems to help me a lot. I've always been, sort of straitjacketed into writing books chronologically, and that's not necessarily the best case. And I guess the takeaway I would suggest for you from this is not so much, oh, you should be writing one plot at a time, as it is, you should be constantly experimenting and trying to improve your process. And if new things work, great, keep doing them. If they don't, discard them. In my case, this is working. So what you can see over here, I know it's really small, but I've broken things down by plot point. So I've got meetings, which is this stuff here. Then you jump to inciting incident, and I've got a few paragraphs here. And I would go to each chapter, and I would just sort of write a paragraph about what the chapter was going to be about, and then write the actual chapter. And so you'll only see Nolan chapters. There's a couple of Kokar. He's one of the supporting characters in the Nolan plotline. There's one from Burke's point of view. But that's all I've written so far. And I've gotten all the way down to the last chapter I wrote was Omega. I did that one last night. And today I'm going to start Repairs. So in Repairs, you can see this is all these chapters have. And this information is coming from the summary that I wrote in the midpoint. So here's basically what I'm trying to do in this section of the book. I then write a paragraph, starting with this. That's the first chapter. And then maybe, this is the next chapter, and so on and so forth. And here I am down to Repairs. And I'm repeating this through the entire book. And it amazes me how much faster I am writing and how much easier it is to plot just focusing on one plot line. I suspect maybe I'll have some problems integrating the other two plot lines with this, but we'll see, and I'm pretty sure those will be solvable. But thus far, I'm really loving instead of writing a book chronologically, doing the one plot line. It's worked phenomenally well. So anyway, guys, I am going to keep writing. I am going to keep posting videos, and that's kind of where you come in. You've supported me through this 12 weeks to a trilogy, and it's been amazing. I would not have done nearly as much, I think, without you guys supporting me. Your emails and comments have just been wonderful. They're excellent motivation. And so here's my ask to you in this last video. In the comments of this video, or if you'd prefer to be anonymous, shoot me an email. Tell me what you thought of the challenge. If I did another challenge, what would you like to see differently? And over the next couple of months, what videos do you want to see me focus on? I get requests for more motivation videos, people want to see more craft, people want to see more marketing. What works for you? Let me know, and guys, that's what I'm going to provide, because the whole reason for this channel is to kind of create a repository of knowledge that's useful to the community. So with that said, guys, I'm going to fail forward. That's the title of the video. I'm going to go on to the next project and just keep cranking out books. In short, I'm going to get back to the writing.